What's up, familia? I'm the Uncanny Dayspring.
And I am the all-out Ascani's son.
Scotty San!
Woo!
What's going on?
Not a damn thing. Happy New Year to you, by the way.
Happy New Year to you. I'm so glad to kick off 2024 with you.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. It's New Year, same me, so,
Well, we were talking about this before we hit record. There's that meme going around on The Simpsons where Homer's like, Marge, I don't get it. Is this a happy ending or a sad ending? And Marge is like, it's an ending. And that is exactly how I feel about 2023.
Absolutely. It's just, it is just another day. I mean, you get older, you just realize you just transition to another month. It just happens to be a new year. That's it.
Well, in this new year, we are witnessing the end of the Krakoan Age. And I can't believe it's ending because A, it feels like it just started. And B, I'm like, is this a happy ending or a sad ending?
No,
maybe it's going to be just an ending.
I know. It's just, it really does feel like we just really got it started, and really think is a kind of a testament of how time flies. But I mean, is it really, ooh, my voice. I'm not going through puberty, been there, done that. No, is it really though ending? Because are they not going to be on the island anymore post Fall of X, or is it just going back to basics?
So the tea that I have gotten is that the call was made from the higher ups that they want Krakoa so gone that it won't even exist. And originally editorial wanted to leave it as a setting to be revisited in the future, but the higher ups, meaning like Kevin Feige et al., who, by the way, we keep forgetting Kevin Feige is like COO of, or CCO, whatever the title is, of like Marvel Comics or the Marvel Publishing arm, does not want Krakoa around at all.
Well, they're letting it be known now with how this whole thing started off. So it's get yourself ready because the K is about to go away.
I love that so much. So my general thoughts for this, though, before we get into the nit and grit, is that I think if you are following Fall of X, if you've been enjoying Gregory Dugan's, I don't know why I just called him Gregory Dugan, Dugan's X-Men run, I do feel this does set up a finale of sorts. There is a sense of things are coming to an end, and I think of that first issue of Morrison in Planet X-Men, not as well written as Planet X-Men issue 1, don't get me wrong, but that first Planet X issue that kicked off the arc where Emma says, why do I feel my life is coming to some kind of closure? That is how I would feel reading this issue. Why do I feel a sense of closure is coming?
Right. I mean, it's just, my thing with this, and it's a shame because I really have been enjoying the Krakoan era of the stories. I mean, it was a fresh take. You pretty much you gave every character a second chance and kind of had them do their own thing and just kind of see where this experiment was going. And for the most part, I mean, yeah, you had your highs and your lows as with everything. But I mean, for me, it was just a fun adventure. And now that I know that it's, wrapping it up pretty much, I mean, it is sad to see. My thing though with this is I just feel like with the story, the Fall of X, haven't these poor mutants have just been fighting for their lives enough as it is? I mean, it's like, oh great, another extinction level event. Wow.
I can't. And okay, so I'm so glad you already said that. Yes. All right. So yes, if you enjoy Dugan's like X-Men, this does set up like a very finalized vibe, and you should totally check it out. But now we're gonna get into the nit and grit of it. I agree with you, Ascani-san. Another extinction level event. And the thing is, Messiah Complex brought so much perspective and thought and sort of some nuggets of what it means to be a mutant on the verge of extinction to that story. What does this bring? This brings nothing new to the table. This is just another extinction story because they didn't know how to end the Krakoan Age. So just massacre all the mutants. Oh, I'm sorry. Let's liquidate all the mutants.
Oh yeah. It just feels like this is just another kind of zero tolerance, Bastion, wanting to exterminate the mutants kind of threat level. It's just humans again, just mutants this, mutants that. I'm so tired of them. Let's just go decimate them all. I mean, it's just like, look, we've already gone through this with House of M. We've gone through this um, with IVX. Now we're doing it again through Fall of X. I mean, it's just like that. Damn, man, these poor guys can't catch a break anymore.
And don't forget, X-Men Disassembled, same
Yeah,
thing. All the
yeah,
mutants were being murdered and everyone was on the run and underground hiding.
right.
This is just a regurgitation of all the stories we have already gotten when the Krakoan Age was such a fresh start.
Hmm.
I think of Doug Ramsey in that moment where Doug Ramsey in issue 1 of House of X is like, the professor has changed all the rules. So good. So wonderful. And I always think of you when I think about how much I don't like the current, era of X books we're getting in the Krakoan Age, because you and I were covering Trial of Magneto
Hmm.
when it was being published, and I was like, oh man, this is starting to like not be good. Like these stories are
Yeah.
not well thought out. They're just not captivating. And since Inferno and Trial of Magneto, that is where I would say the Krakoan Age took a huge nosedive to me. I wouldn't say it was Hickman leaving because I think Inferno is a very flawed story. However, I think Hickman exiting the books, you can tell that there was anarchy from an editorial perspective.
Well, I think some of the stories was kind of like, write it as you go, really no kind of thought out plan. And it was very, if I can kind of describe it as very last final season of Lost. You just didn't know really what was going to go on. I mean, it was just like, okay, well, I guess we'll just take this route. We'll go this way. No, we'll exit here. And it's just like, oh, okay, get your GPS on and figure it out.
An inconsequential story after inconsequential story. Judgment Day, Dark Web, Sins of
Yeah.
Sinister. I mean, not only were they inconsequential, but there was so many tie-in books to them that
Yeah, I think.
when it was just, it made it unreadable at certain points.
Well, that's how I kind of felt too when AVX was out. I mean, yeah, I focused solely on the primary story, what was being told, and I realized that with a story like that, with just the how grand it was going to be, there was going to be tie-ins here and there, of course. But yeah, I completely agree. It just got so much you really could not keep up with everything, and so I mean, hopefully, with this they'll kind of tie it down small and not have story here, story there, where it's just like, okay, okay, what do I need to read to keep up with this, or what do I have to, know to understand what's going on here? And just it's like, okay.
Well, the one contrarian remark I would make in terms of AVX, because I did read all the tie-in books for AVX. AVX was once in a few years kind of story. It
Okay.
wasn't back to back 30 issues to keep up. And then, even before, what was it? Before Judgment Day ended, we started getting Dark Web. And then Sins of Sinister was announced, and you're like, these stories haven't even finished yet.
Right,
And
right.
like, and they're overlapping, and you're telling me now I can't keep up with these 30 issues. Now I'm gonna have to read another 30. And then in the summer
Mm,
number 30, no, no, sorry. But yeah, I feel what you said was very true, which is why didn't editorial just put in their GPS? And this goes to show you how Hickman really did keep everyone in line. I argued years ago, probably privately before we even started podcasting, which was it's curious to me that you would hire Jonathan Hickman to be head of X when you have the editors there. And I would have assumed with Jonathan Hickman sort of leaving as head of X slash showrunner, it would have transferred to Jordan D. White, and he would have kept a tight rein on the editorial happenings of the office. But I think it's pretty damn clear that there was no GPS on, and that people were just going for a free for all, and some stories were just going places that just don't pay off for readers. No.
yeah, I just that and that's the thing too. I mean, I understand that people want to kind of tell their own stories, but at the same time, don't also lose what's already happened in continuity, kind of stay along with the path which was the original intent. Again, yeah, I mean, Hickman, he was the foundation of what he wanted to do with the Krakoan Age and with certain characters. And yeah, him leaving and then you bring in somebody else in here to want to continue to tell these stories, but at the same time, you want to stay along the path and kind of keep it, cohesive, coherent here, and you don't want to deviate somewhere where you're just going to get pretty much lost in translation and to kind of just scratch your head about, wait a minute, but wasn't the intent for this to happen because of this, and then now you're going somewhere else, and not knowing
I
where you're going to end up.
I agree 100% with everything you have just said. Thank you.
Yeah.
I agree. It's how we got here with Fall of House of X by Dugan and Lucas Warneck is very curious, but why don't we dive in to that
Let's
first scene?
let's go. So how the scene opens is you see uh poor Scott Summers. It's in a Western setting, which is, kind of interesting. And he's getting dragged along by the chain. And then he's getting taken into the courthouse. Now, one thing about this opening scene was, if you noticed, as he's walking in, you see a sign that says "Timely." Now, just for listeners that may not know this, is that Marvel Comics wasn't always Marvel Comics. It actually started off as Timely Publishing or publication, and eventually transitioned over to Marvel Comics. I want to say this was probably back in like the 1930s, when they first came about as Timely Publication. So I like that little bit of nod right there. I immediately, when I saw that, I was like, I know what they're doing right there. So that was pretty cool. He
Agreed.
walked he walks by one of those old time fortune tellers where it says, uh, know your destiny. And of course, it's a nod to Miss Irene Adler.
Ooh, she's there.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. So then we see Cyclops. He's just pretty much getting judged, um, found guilty, and he is about to get hanged. And as the hangman releases the flooring underneath of him, he all of a sudden stops and he does not fall. And you see a mysterious red-haired lady dressed in white with a little phoenixy brooch, smiling. And then it cuts to Cyclops getting transported to the actual um, court of where he's going to be put on trial. I I gotta say, I've read this a few times, and I'm kind of looking over it right now as we talked about this. Um, I like I like that little hint here, and then him bringing up Jean's name, because clearly she he and he knows she's coming back.
Yeah.
He knows
Yeah,
just
yeah.
the way that he talks about her, and especially in the court. And sorry if I don't want to get too ahead of myself here,
Don't
but
get ahead of yourself, please.
I like how when he tells the judge that only one soul can judge me, and you're not gonna like it when you meet her. And so he knows that death is not final for her, and that she's gonna eventually come back and pretty much kick kick their asses to hell and high water.
So the opening scene it's really curious for me. I don't know where I land with it because I'm of two minds with it. One, I like that he's being dragged through the desert and he comes to a little town that's called Timely, and the judges in his dream are Orcus. And as
Mhm.
he's about to be, executed, as you said, it's the wood beneath his feet are kicked out. He's going to fall, but Jean catches him. And I
Mhm.
love that because that harkens back to Messiah Complex, right? Where he's holding the baby Messiah, which is now Hope, but at the time we thought it was Jean.
Right.
And he's presented with two futures: one where the baby Messiah is going to destroy everything, or two, the baby Messiah will save everyone. And Cyclops, believing it's Jean, knows that she will save everyone. And that is why he puts his trust in her. I love that.
Right.
Cyclops trusting Jean is something that I will always love. And I think that's what this dream kind of comes across. I also love him through the desert, the plateau in the background of that first like panel. I wonder if it's supposed to be a homage, and this could be us crazy Gene stands reading into it, from New Mexico, where Scott and Gene during Dark Phoenix
Yeah.
had an intimate moment.
Oh yeah. I mean, was that when they first did the deed?
I didn't know. So it's so funny. I was about to say the first time they did the deed, but I don't know if that was the first time doing it. Regardless, it's the first time we really did see them as
Well,
readers
well, I
having
gotta
fun.
say, I like back years ago, during the Astonishing X-Men, where he flashed back to that moment with him and Jean when she was Phoenix, and she said something like, "Now you know I'm a natural redhead," or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, they got busy.
But I don't like the line, I have this reoccurring dream. And I know it's just a dream, but it feels real. Like, first of all, Scott, you are going to be having a stress dream because you're on trial with
Yeah.
Orcus for frack's sake. So of course you're gonna be having these stress dreams. I just feel like that part of the writing is extremely lazy. There's not really much to the dream other than to set up that Gene is going to come in and rescue him and sort of his belief in that. It just it's something that doesn't really like go over well with me because it's just such an a dream. I was like odd dream. And why would it be set in like a Western setting? I was thinking about it. I'm like, does Cyclops like Western movies? Is this something I don't know, good guys, bad guys, kind of like a lawless state. It's just
Yeah.
very odd to me. But I have to tell you, the fact that we have Jean there with like her big old bonnet and like Phoenix brooch and her just giving this little smirk makes the scene worth it for me. But I do find it a very curious way of kicking everything off.
I mean, I guess too, it could also symbolize, especially in the first panel where you see Scott, he's getting kind of dragged in the dirt here. Kind of like that's how he's always been. He's always just getting dragged in the mud, dragged in the dirt, always having to really defend himself and his people. But no, like you said though, I mean, the symbolism with Jean catching him and saving him, symbolic of her eventual return to save mutant kind. Yeah, I think it is very, very telling right there.
Yeah.
Although I gotta say, just to kind of nitpick here, and I've got a couple
Go.
of nitpicks with
Nitpick,
just, and
nitpick, nitpick.
it's so minute. But why is he dressed back in his costume from like the 70s when they just had him in his 90s look? It just always that was just kind of odd to me to see him kind of
No, no,
like,
no. I agree with you because even in the dream, so for folks at home who haven't read the issue yet, it starts off with the dream and then immediately cuts to him being unloaded in
yeah,
Paris for his trial.
yep,
So in the dream, he's wearing his ruby red sunglasses, which would not be fitting for the time A. But
right,
then
right,
B, we get him in his like 70s outfit here when he's been in his 90s. I don't know what the answer is because my
yeah,
thing to you would have been like, oh no, that's just kind of like the goggles and a cap to stop him from using his powers. But
right.
those boots have some really big cuffs on them.
Oh yeah, I mean those are yo ho ho matey,
Yeah.
going back sailing
So
back to the 70s there.
wait, and can you like, was there a bridge between Cyclops having his back broken, eyelids shut, and on like a medical table
Yeah.
to him being able to walk?
And that's exactly what, and I, so you are totally in my head right now because
Sorry.
I was just gonna say, and how is he walking again when he had his back broken? I mean, and I don't think they didn't explain that in this issue, like how is he mobile
Well,
once
because
again? He's
like
just
if you gave him like a cane or something, then I'd be like, okay, whatever. But like
yeah,
he's fine. Like, is there some kind of like is this supposed to be us as a reader sort of implying that maybe when in the times he's been resurrected, maybe he was resurrected with some kind of like healing gene or something like that? It doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever that he can just fully walk without having any sort of problems doing so,
right.
especially months with just mere months before him being thrown out of the
Oh,
treehouse and his
oh
back broken.
yeah, and especially at that height, yeah. I mean, that completely shattered his spine and caused
Yeah.
him and caused him to be paralyzed. I mean, even it was even stated in that issue. So it's just interesting how he's just hopping out of that back of that truck and walking right into the court system. So, but I do have to say though, I like how in as he's approaching the courthouse, you've got one side of the humans against them, and then one side is also for the X-Men. So at least they still have allies somewhere.
And I agree. And I think that was something that I had said months ago that like something like this, if you're going to put it in some kind of like
Hmm.
context, there would be people who are very against mutants and also very pro mutants, no matter
Right.
what's happening. I mean, it's just a world we live in now. So I love seeing
Yeah.
that there. The one thing I could not foresee was this caption here where he says, humans like their symbolism. This is Paris, where they tried Magneto. This time, the trial will go their way, but the war will not. So this is where Magneto in the purple costume was being
Yep.
tried. I like it.
That was a little good callback there.
Okay, so then our next two pages are Wolverine and Colossus. And the first page, it's then. So we're flashing back, and it's talking about how the Krakoan Age was remarkable for the advancement in mutant technology by combining their powers to create a mutant circuit and create this island nation that sort of can span worlds. And there is a consensus among historians that the first use of mutant technology was the fastball special between Colossus and Wolverine. So then,
Classic.
classic, of course, and I like that. And then now in the present, Colossus and Wolverine are under the courthouse and they are going to try to liberate Cyclops. And they're
Hmm.
talking about how they can do sort of like an inversion of the fastball special. And what it is that Colossus grabs one of the Orcus soldiers, throws it at Wolverine. Wolverine pops his claws and like shreds the guy. I mean, it is brutal. It
Oh
is very
yeah.
brutal. I'm going to give Lucas Warnick his credit with his art. That definitely made me go, like I was like, "Ooh, that's gotta hurt."
Yeah, he's gonna need a few stitches after that one.
Yeah, he's not coming back from that. He's not gonna be walking in a few months if he survived that.
Sorry, the Phoenix Foundation rejects this resurrection.
Phoenix Foundation's like, sorry, no, thank you. But then, Wolverine and Colossus have a very cute moment where they're like, what should we call this? The screwball special? And Colossus is like, let's just go liberate Cyclops. So,
To me, I mean, it was just kind of classic, Wolverine Colossus moment, fighting, kind of the villain of the day and, taking out the enemy to save whoever it is they're going after, or, whatever classic X-Men style moment they were having. I mean, I agree. It was a brutal moment, but it was nice to see these two come together and kind of rehash a classic moment. Very Mortal Kombat here,
oh, I
fatality.
love that.
Oh
I,
yeah. Oh
I wish we
yeah.
would have seen this in Ten of Swords.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, but what I like though about this scene is that you got these two now. They're not playing any games with Orcus. They mean business because I mean, they're just tired. They're tired of this BS. There are people coming up again on their race about to be extinct because of just these fascists. And now they're just, yeah, it's like no more games. No, we mean business, and we're gonna show you that we mean business. So no, I liked it. I mean, hey, go berserk. I mean, he's the best at what he does. So
So there's this line here about Krakoa being carbon negative, and I thought that was such a wonderful line that Krakoa was this really safe, environmentally friendly society spanning across the world. And for me, again, this is one of the most missed opportunities in the Krakoan age to show these larger plot points of how somewhere like a carbon negative island housing the mutants would impact the general Marvel universe and see the X-Men really go out there and try to help the world and be rejected by the world. I mean, of course, we saw that in Marauders with like Bobby trying to fix the ice caps in one issue when he was with Kristen Frost. We saw them obviously in that Strike Force issue where they came and they rebuilt the town. But those were just like really few examples that like never really materialized into anything. And that for me, when we kicked off the Krakoan age, I thought, oh my God, the X-Men have just established themselves as a world power. This is going to be a politically charged, you know, era of X books where we're going to see the mutants really try to save the world in meaningful ways, right? Try to fix broken economic system, try to solve world hunger. They have the ability to terraform Mars. They're clearly going to do that. So seeing that kind of like just fly by here, I was like, oh, Dugan, these are plot points you would have gone with instead of just like meandering for so many issues.
stick the landing. Just stick the
Just stick the
landing.
landing because I think it is a very provocative story if you're going to tell me this group of superheroes establish their own nation. They are able to cure world hunger. They're able to bring world peace. They're able to sort of fix extinction, fix anything that happens to the planet, and human society rejects it. I think for me that is a beautiful story. I just don't see it here. I don't think we can infer it, but I don't see it here. Um, The other thing from these pages that I wish would have gotten, and this is not fair because this is me projecting what I want onto Dugan, but I wish we would have had a moment of showing Wolverine kind of concerned for Cyclops, being like, I want to get my boy out of here. Because in the Krakoan Age, Cyclops, Wolverine, and Jean are shacking up at the Summers
Mhm.
habitat on the blue area of the moon. I
Yep.
would have they have some kind of relationship that's more than just, frenemies. I would have liked to have seen Wolverine genuinely concerned for Cyclops. And again, that's nitpicking because I do like this cute moment between Colossus and Wolverine, but I think about this quite a bit. Like, editorial is the one implying that they're a throuple, that they have this new lease on their relationship and they're no longer rivals with Jean because they are all three in a throuple. Can you at least just lean into it? You started it. I did it. I'm not overreading subtext. It's out. It's overtext at this point.
Well, I think too at the same time, you can even say it even goes back further than that before the whole throuple coupling there is, these two have always been at odds with each other since Wolverine first debuted and joined the X-Men when Charles Xavier recruited, the third team really to rescue the original X-Men from Krakoa. And yeah, they've always been at odds with each other because they're just, two really alpha males that just, really butt heads. But yet there's this kind of mutual respect, if you will, between them because I mean, Cyclops is the leader, and even though Wolverine had a bit of a disdain for him, kind of always, but there was always, in my opinion, this mutual respect that he had for him. So that he may not have always liked him, but still he sees him, you know, kind of as an equal a
I do.
bit.
Yeah, I agree with
And
you.
so there's, this admiration, if you will, between the two of them. Because even look, Wolverine has given Cyclops his dues, and Cyclops has given Wolverine his dues, and it doesn't always have to be because of Jean. And a lot of arguments between them, yeah, have been because of Jean, especially when the time that she was not around, especially with um that one scene, a schism, I believe it was, where Cyclops said, if she were here now, or she was always afraid of you, and then Wolverine says, well, if she were here now, who would she be more afraid of? But it doesn't always have to be because of that, but these two have such history together, such an illustrious history, and they've always had this relationship with each other. Dare I say, very sibling rivalry, if you will, almost. So, Cyclops is kind of like the boy next door, and Wolverine is the bad boy, and it's just Charles is the kind of like the father, and he's always favored Cyclops, and that's always kind of made Wolverine maybe a little bit jealous. I'm just kind of speaking, out a little bit, but just to kind of correlate that, being with their relationship in the past, yeah, it would have been. I agree. It would have been nice to kind of have him show some kind of, you know, concern, if you will, a bit more so. I mean, this is in the end. I mean, they're boys, so
Yeah, it just given the finality, I'm assuming, and the reason for that is because I'm assuming the thruple is probably not going to carry forward in the reboot. I would like some
yeah,
closure in their thrupleness,
right.
but I agree. I love he Cyclops is Brendan Walsh and Logan is Dylan McKay, right? That is the difference between these characters. One is the boy next door, the other one is the renegade. I love that.
I guess you can say that Emma would be the Valerie Malone.
Oh my God, yes. She comes in what, season 5? Yes.
Right.
I love that. 90210 reference there, y'all.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
We go into this interrogation room where Cyclops is getting ready to have a sit down with Dr. Aaliyah Gregor. I do like though how it says the guard, Cyclops, someone's come to see you, and he says, is it a tall, smart, funny redhead with sharp objects floating around her? Call back to Jean's Hellfire Gala look, which I have to say, I really did like that look, by the way, with the whole, golden kind of, spikes flying around her head. I thought that was I like that.
I do like that
Um,
too. I did question tall question mark because okay, it's not that I think Jean is particularly short, but I think of her more as like 5'4", 5'5". And I think in canon she's supposed to be 5'6". I just looked this up as we were talking. And I wonder if like it's kind of like her green eyes. I know this is such nitpicking with being a Jean stan. Like sometimes they draw her with blue eyes, but she has green. I'm just curious. In canon, is Jean supposed to be particularly tall? Because I always thought of her as average height, probably a little shorter when Frank Quitely was drawing her. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Oh, well, look, I mean, look,
This is so nitpicking. This is nitpicking beyond anything.
well, no, that's like, we go talk about with Jean in the animated series. I mean,
Yeah.
she was always drawn with blue eyes, and the only time you saw her with green eyes was when she was Dark Phoenix, trying to fight that off. No, it's yeah, it is the little minute things. I know, I get it. Um,
But
but no,
Cyclops has Jean on his mind. That
oh
is
yeah,
something that is so clear in these first like 10 pages. He is thinking of Jean, like he is waiting for her return.
oh yeah, well, because he knows. I mean, there's even a line where he states that, I mean, he's felt her die before, and death, and she's too good for death. That it's yeah, she's eventually going to return. I mean, it's just a matter of when. Tick tock, the clock is ticking.
The clock is ticking for her return.
So yeah, so with this scene right here, I mean, it's just Cyclops is getting interrogated. He's getting visited by Dr. Gregor and Omega Sentinel, and it's just really her just having a conversation with him, kind of reminiscing about the whole suicide mission that they went on. And she's just saying, "Hey, what are you thinking about when you made me a widow?" And I like how he responds by saying that he has no memory of that mother mold of that mission, and which is a callback to, of course, when they die and they get brought back, they don't have the memory of their death. That gets admitted, I guess, to take out that trauma. Although I wonder if that does, and kind of going back with Jean, because I know in the past we've had this conversation was, did she really, die? Because we never really saw, you know,
Yeah.
what happened with her, pod. But I don't know. I guess,
I
and
think that would have been a great thread to pick up. Yeah, so folks at home, that's from House of X when the team went to Mother Mold and they all died and then they were resurrected on Earth. I never took it as a suppressed trauma. I took it as those backups. They backed up before they left and
mhm.
then that's kind of gone. But one, I would love it if the next issue ends with that Gene coming back and then another Gene as well. Or that's a body that Gene in the White Hot Room somehow uses to come back. But also, I love that for Dr. Gregor, this situation was something that made her a widow. It's something so horrible, and the person before her isn't even the person who committed those crimes. It's someone who
Mhm.
doesn't have those memories, and that's got to sting a little bit for her.
No, I'm sure it does. But I mean, at the same time, I mean, I have to be honest. I really feel very, very little sympathy
Oh
for
yeah,
her
oh yeah,
situation
one
because
hundred percent, one hundred
because
percent.
oh yeah, it's just because I mean, you knew what you were doing, and you really expected them to just kind of sit there and allow you to want to exterminate them. No, I mean they're gonna fight back, and they're gonna fight back with everything they have, and yeah, and it costed them their lives, even though they were able to be brought back and whatnot. But I mean, they're not gonna let you um ruin or take away what they worked so hard for. And I did chuckle a little bit though when Cyclops was like, "Oh, sorry, I think I thought I smelled the bourbon in your coffee." Because clearly, I mean, this is kind of like, I feel like this is a moment that she's kind of been waiting for, to have this confrontation with him, to kind of, in her, I guess, her way of letting him have it, but yet he's not. I mean, he's not going to give her what she's looking for. Uh,
Yeah, and it's by the way, I want to give Lucas Warnick also other like more like props for these panels because I feel the intensity, especially with her facial expressions,
oh
and
yeah,
Cyclops is conveying so much with so much of his face being covered. And they both are feeling grief and very differently. And I think
sure.
about Cyclops being in this situation here where Jean is dead, he's facing yet another extinction, situation, and he gives zero fucks. The way he's being written here, when he was here, like, I'm sorry, I think I caught a whiff of bourbon in your coffee. I agree. It made me laugh as well.
Oh yeah. Well, it's just one of those, no, okay, I've been here, done that before type
Yeah.
moments. And again, it's funny, and going back to Jean, because she's our God Queen here. why is she always dead in these types of stories? Every extinction level event, she is always dead. House of M, AVX,
Yeah,
IVX. Um,
I agree. X-Men Disassembled as well, technically
yeah,
an Age of X-Men, but I think it's because it's too easy. Although we're gonna get into too easy with
yeah.
Jean later on in this issue here,
Oh yeah.
because I think some things happen too easy, and I was like, really? But it's a nice interaction between Dr. Gregor and Cyclops,
Hmm.
and I'm glad they kind of have this because I think it's one of those things that they have a moment in the plot right here to look at each other straight in the eye. They epitomize both sides, and we know things are going to go down. And I agree. I don't have sympathy for her, but she feels just in her cause. And obviously, Cyclops is just not going to back down. And Cyclops gives that smirk. And she's here like, that a funny idea to you, human happiness? And Cyclops is like, my question wasn't for you, Dr. Gregor.
Hmm.
And literally then it cuts to Omega Sentinel.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's just, you got these two opposing individuals here who are fighting for their cause. I mean, and right now, and I guess, for a moment there, I mean, you kind of humanize, you know, show kind of some humanization with these two. Maybe there's some kind of commonality that they have where they're, working through their grief in a certain way. Like for her, she lost her husband. For him, he lost his wife. Although he knows eventually, she's gonna, return. Whereas for Gregor, he will not though. But isn't he Nimrod though?
Yeah, he's Nimrod.
I was gonna
So
say. So really, I mean, she lost the she lost the human part of him, but I mean, he's, been kind of, you know
I
puppet
really,
into.
talking to you here though, I really, when I first read this, and I like you, I read this a couple of times, but I kind of really did like the scene. But talking it out with you here, I'm like, what did she expect? The mutants
Yeah,
literally know that Nimrod is the beginning of the end for them. This is why the Days of Future Past timeline exists. They know if they see Nimrod, they're all going to end up in concentration camps. So the X-Men are going to come at you with everything they got because one of the worst dystopian futures for them is this Days of Future Past timeline. So I agree with you. What was she expecting here? Being like, "Oh, you made me like these casualties were going to happen." Whereas Cyclops is like, "Yeah, I understand grief as well," but he's so arrogant. He's here like, "Oh wait, someone's here to see me. Is it my wife yet?" Like at least Cyclops has that courage of his convictions. She
right.
doesn't seem to have metabolized that. So I don't understand what the purpose of the scene is, other than to end with some shade at Omega Sentinel when he's here, like, "What are you going to do when the last mutant's dead under your heel?" And then he's here, like, "I wasn't talking to you, I was talking to her." Well, he doesn't say her, but
I
implies
guess
Omega
overall,
Sentinel.
yeah, I mean, I guess overall, this is just I guess this was just to show her, gotcha moment with him. But really, I mean,
Yeah.
who's going to have the last laugh? It's not going to be her. I can tell you that.
Okay. So the next scenes are pretty interesting, where we have Xavier at the Green Lagoon bar on Krakoa, and he says, "No more. No more, no more." And he
So
screams,
dramatic.
I know, so dramatic. And he's here like, "It's time." And of course, Rasputin is hovering over the courthouse because she's joining the rescue mission for Cyclops with Colossus and Wolverine. And Xavier comes into her telepathically and he says, "I know you've been trying to split your time between artwork and the X-Men. I promise you we can save them all, but you need to come right now. Trust me, right now. Leave this mission right now and come fly to me." And Rasputin's like, "Okay, bye." And Rasputin just like, zooms off.
She just
Okay,
dips.
so here are my thoughts on this one. One, really, like at the very moment they're gonna bust out Cyclops, this is when Xavier's like, "You have to come now." Fine, whatever. You're heightening drama and tension
Yeah.
for the story. Okay, fine, sure. But this is my point with showing like Dugan's X-Men with the Miss Marvel series. The X-Men are such poor strategists. Scotty Son, why are they such poor strategists? Why would you attempt to free Cyclops the day the verdict is going to be given? Because you know it's going to have the most security, the most media coverage. Why wouldn't you do it during some of the boring trial days? Like, think of like Gwyneth Paltrow's like ski trial.
Oh
Everyone's
yeah.
tuning in day off. Everyone's tuning day off to see the verdict. But Who cares about the days leading up to it? Why the day of, when the verdict is about to be given, do the X-Men decide this is the best moment to bust him out? Because it makes no sense. You would want to do it sometime before, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, that would be the more ideal moment, of course. Yeah, to make the jailbreak right there. Yeah, I mean, and it doesn't really bode well. I mean, because you've got, of course, a bunch of people there. Everyone's watching, and it's not going to really make them look good, by just jumping in.
But also, like, no one sees Rasputin hovering over the court. She's not that far high. And you can see the sentinel. Like, no one's seen her up
Well,
there.
right, and I was just gonna say, and looking at the panel right there, I mean, she's literally just above the house. You don't think anyone's gonna be looking up with a phone, like taking a video of like what's who's this right here?
Yeah,
Thinking something's going up, especially the opposing side.
exactly. They're gonna be like, "Oh, look, it's Girl Colossus. Oh, look, it's Danny Moonstar. Oh, look, it's Magic. It's they're gonna notice her. It just and she'll make some noise again. She's flying right through the courthouse. It doesn't make any sense to me. But
Right.
I mean, again, like my overall feels has been that I don't think the current editorial office thinks its readers are smart because this to me is like a big plot hole. That
Well,
if you're looking at the pages as they come in, you'd be like, no, strike this, no, not that. I don't know. That's my opinion.
I don't know. I guess for me is and to be perfectly honest, I liked Rasputin when we first were introduced to her when House of X, first came about as the future of the X Men, like her and Cardinal, and which I wish we would see more of that character. I don't know. I think it
Agree.
just, but honestly, when they had her come back, I really haven't, and no hate here, but I really haven't thought too much of her character. I mean, I feel like she's just kind of getting shoehorned in, just to be part of the kind of the overall story here, and I guess they just need her something for her to do, and here it is.
I
Um,
I think her biggest sin is that when Kamala at the Hellfire Gala is like, I wonder what my mutant powers are. And she comes in and she's here like, you're Miss Marvel. You're a big hero from where I come from. I love everything about you. And doesn't tell poor Kamala what her powers are. I think it's hysterical.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just, I guess the writing, I guess where they kind of written her, where she was very more warrior like
Yeah.
in the beginning. Now she's just, I don't know, comes across very sidekicky.
See,
Oh,
but I'm sorry to cut you off. I will say
no, you're
though,
good.
I do think people like her. I do think
Oh
there's
yeah.
engagement there. I think I like the design. I think she is like this generation's Age of Apocalypse Blink. I think if done well,
Hmm.
she could land well. But I agree with you. She comes across as sidekicky and like, again, taking the story 100% for being in canon. I'm like, why are you hovering over the courthouse?
Yeah, I mean, overall, I agree. I love her design. I think she looks great. I just think, I just liked how she was written when we were first introduced to her, then really kind of how she's written now. But I mean, but then again, I mean, maybe she just needs to be put into the hands of a writer that will know what to really do with her and make her, the fierce warrior that she came across when Krakoa first started in Powers of 10. So,
Well, I listen, I'm not disagreeing with you, but
yeah.
anyways, I agree on having a better writer tackle her. But anyways, you want to hit the next scene?
The next scene pretty much is just Wolverine and Colossus, going through I guess the underground sewers here beneath the building, kind of confused. Well, being in communication with Rasputin, but then all of a sudden kind of gets cut off, and they're kind of wondering where she went, and what's going to happen with liberating Cyclops, where they're now met with more Orcus troops, where they literally pin them against the wall with this device, this kind of like tank with electromagnetic capabilities. Yeah, they pin them to the wall, and man, just seeing where this one guy just literally lights Wolverine up. I mean, you just see his skin just
Oh,
melting,
I
and I mean, you
know.
could just kind of, I mean, he'll be fine, of course.
She's fine. Don't
It's
worry.
nothing. It's nothing.
The art is cool. It's so cool. It's such a cool moment in the art.
And again, you got to give praise to artist Lucas Warnick because I mean he really just, I mean, does not hide the melting, the tearing away of the skin, the burning. You can just feel it. Poor Wolvie. It's just lighting lighting that Yule log.
Yeah, do
Um,
not ruin that Hugh Jackman face. We need it for Deadpool 3. But
I exactly. And then, as Orcus thinks, oh yeah, we got these guys. They're done. They're done. Then pops in our favorite swashbuckling, teleporting mutant, Mr. Kurt Wagner,
yeah.
Nightcrawler. Loved
Wait, can I
it.
ask you a question? Because I haven't really followed through with Uncanny Spider-Man. Is he no longer Spider-Man anymore?
I guess not. I'm gonna be honest, I really haven't kept up with that one either, too
I mean,
much.
I'll wait till it hits Marvel Unlimited, of course,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I'm not
Um,
I'm not going to be paying for that. Sorry, I don't think it's worth my 4.99, 3.99. But okay, so but he's back and he's in his regular
yeah,
non-Spider-Man costume.
yeah, he's back in his classic Nightcrawler look, working the beard, which I think is a good look for him. I wish that I hope they keep that because when he was in X-Men Red sporting the beard, I was like, okay, Zaddy, okay.
Yes, Zaddy with yeah, he looks good here. He truly does, and I like how he comes in. He's having fun. This moment, by the way, I will always love Wolverine, Colossus, and Nightcrawler together because
Oh
what
yeah,
I was going to say the episode, the issue where they dealt with Kitty dying in Astonishing X-Men. I just it never occurred to me that these three have a very profound bond. They started off in the X-Men together. They are close with the same people. These
hmm.
three have history together. It is lovely to see them coming together right now and taking on Orcus.
Well, I mean, and these are the three that were part of the team that was sent to rescue the original X-Men from Krakoa. So, I mean, of course, they have that, that connection, that bond with each other. No, I completely agree. It's good to see them, coming back and working together again. It's very just, it just gives me that old school classic X-Men feel, villain of the day, really just getting in that team unison. And I loved it, especially just the relationship between Wolverine and Nightcrawler. And there's that it really does that deep friendship level with them that they've always had. Wolverine has the utmost respect for him, and Nightcrawler just sees the best in him that a lot of people probably don't, but sees and Jean as well, that they've seen that what a good man that he is and what he can be. And so I mean it was just good to see him pop in and then um off to where we'll see them later on in here. But no, I just thought it was such a well-rounded, just well done scene, which was just
And I agree with you. I want to pull on that thread where you said the X-Men going back to just being the X-Men. This scene very
yeah,
much is the X-Men just kicking butt, having fun together. This is what you fighting extinction, prejudice. This scene is truly what the X-Men are all about, and I love it.
right. Absolutely. I mean, it just takes it right back to old school X-Men comics where it's just you got the team coming together, fighting the villains of the day, whatever it is that they're going after, and just kicking ass, taking names or not taking names, and moving on.
So the next scene is Cyclops before the judge,
Yep.
and we know that the prosecution rests, Your Honor. They're talking about how the mutants are an invasive species, and Cyclops is like, "Well, I told you before, I have no defense, Your Honor. I'm not dignifying any of this nonsense with your response, with a response. I know there is good in humanity, and I'm not being tried by it." And then he's here like, "I can only be judged by one soul, and I don't think you'd like to meet her." Another reference to our God Queen. But with this scene in particular, again, I have some issues because I'm not really quite sure who's prosecuting Cyclops. I know we're being told he's been bounced around the world, that this is a corrupt, court because Orcus has somewhat infiltrated them. But it doesn't make any sense to me how flimsy any of this is. And the fact that he offers no defense when, as we find out in the next couple pages, that he's trying to bide time for the resistance to build itself up, for his team members to get organized. I'm like, okay, then why wouldn't you file an appeal? Why wouldn't you file any motions? Why wouldn't you have Jennifer Walters? If you have that Krakoan money and you have Jennifer Walters on retainer, which we find out again in a couple of pages that Jennifer Walters is his attorney, why wouldn't you be stalling the verdict to give your team more time? It just doesn't seem like a very well thought out scene here, is
Right.
all I'm saying.
Well, this thing just reads total kangaroo court. you know,
Yeah.
pretty much. I mean, there's just trying him. I mean, with really no hard evidence here. I mean, because like we were talking about before, I mean, the whole reason of the Krakoan experience was really to get humanity to see that the mutants are not a threat, that they're actually there to help
Yeah.
humanity and offer these medicines and things to prolong their life, cure disease, do everything they can to really show that mutants are not the enemy. So yeah, it's just yeah, and seriously, and if She-Hulk is his attorney, and where is she at? To stand by him and say, "Hey,
Jennifer Walters wants to go into Paris and wants to be like front and center, at least with the press. Like, you don't put Jennifer
exactly."
Walters on retainer and she's not going to not show up. I'm sorry.
I mean, you don't think she wants to get some kind of headline out of this? Get her name out there a little bit, more so.
She wants to up her rates. Yeah, she's not Matt Murdock. I mean, come on. This is Jennifer Walters. She's supposed to be the best lawyer in the Marvel universe. I don't believe that she would just send out a press release.
Especially
But
now with the She-Hulk Disney Plus series, you think you want to utilize her in her actual setting. So, being a lawyer here and representing
yeah,
the mutant community. So, I mean, I thought it was a little bit of a missed opportunity not having her there make an appearance.
it just feels it feels lazy to me, but sure, whatever. Like, listen, I'll let it go. Of all the things I have grievances with this, I can understand a kangaroo court 100%. I just think there was more substance here than we could have delved into. But the next scene is Orcus in the Bloom room cheering that they got Cyclops. I mean, they're oblivious. They don't know that Cyclops is up to something. They're just like, haha, he's not going to defend anything. Nimrod, go kill Krakoa. And Nimrod just teleports to Krakoa. And Krakoa's like, oh, hell no. And throws like amber on him. And Nimrod's like, whoops, I'm disabled. And then Nimrod just runs away.
Yeah, I guess I just have a mind of a child, but Krakoa really gave Nimrod a big happy ending there. It was
Oh my god, I didn't even think about it like that. Oh my god, that's hysterical.
it's like it got me excited here.
Flop and go. Okay. All right. Well, although I'm listen, I'm just gonna say this once. I'm not gonna belabor the point here. So Jean and all of the mutants at the Hellfire Gala couldn't stop Nimrod. Cannonball, fired up, invulnerable. Dazzler, being
Yeah.
immortal. Frenzy, who is so strong. None of them could have stopped Nimrod. But all Krakoa has to do is throw a bunch of
Spit on
sap, like spit on him.
Right, exactly.
Have a happy ending, whatever you said. And that's it. That's it. Nimrod is disabled. That's all. That's all it took. No, think that this is a perfect example of that there are no rules concerning the powers or anything. It's just whatever the plot demands. And in this case, they needed Krakoa to run off, and that's why this super Amber was able to stop Nimrod. It just doesn't make any sense that Omega level mutants couldn't stop it. But Nimrod, or excuse me, but Krakoa just spitting on him, some Amber was able to do the job.
Yeah, I mean, and I thought that too. Like it was too easy. I mean, he just lands there getting ready to go. Nimrod about to go in for the attack, and then all of a sudden Krakoa just spits out this amber, encasing him in that substance, and then just pretty much punches him right into the ground. Yeah, it was very easy. And then of course Krakoa just runs off to wherever. Obviously, this is not going to hold him. I mean, he'll obviously break free somehow. If
Yeah.
not himself, someone's going to come in and get him out of it. But no, yeah, it was. I thought about that too. Like, yeah, you had Iceman go up against Nimrod, and then he takes him out. Jean throws Juggernaut at him, and it didn't do anything, to stop him. But one little happy ending by the big plant guy there, and that's it. Out
Like
of
a snot rocket right down.
Right,
That's
exactly,
it. That's
exactly.
it.
Talking to Loogie, and then that's all it took. Damn, where were you in the beginning of this?
So I guess they've officially separated Krakoa from like the actual physical island. He's now on the run because it's not like the entire island goes running. It's just like a big like tree Krakoa. He goes running off and he dives into the water and that's it. I wonder if this is the end. If this is supposed to be like the end of Krakoa as we know it in its current iteration. I'm curious to see if Krakoa will come back at some point in the story and they'll wrap it up officially. But Krakoa just goes off to parts unknown, dives into the water
Yeah,
and leaves.
yeah, and I mean it's one of those yet to be seen plots in the story that will no doubt come across here. I'm sure sooner than later. If maybe not even by the next issue, we'll see where Krakoa went off to. Um, but here I don't know if you want to talk about. I mean, because there's a page or from the offices of Jennifer Walters. Really, it's just a letter from Cyclops.
Oh, oh, my friend, it's not just a letter. It is a publicity release from the office of Jennifer Walters, which
Oh
I love.
yeah.
And we kind of already summed it up, which was that he doesn't believe anything about what's being brought against him, that he is just biding time because he is an X-Man and their team, their moments now, and he's going to defend himself.
Yeah, and that's pretty much all it is.
Yeah.
It's just him pretty much making a statement saying exactly what you just said.
That's why they mortgaged the Summers habitat to pay for Jennifer Walters'
Right.
fee so she can send out this publicity release.
And then we cut to Dr. Gregor making the announcement to all of humanity, pretty much just telling them all that you know the Krakoan era is coming to an end, pretty much, and that any mutant that decides to remain will, as we said, will be liquidated. Um, and then and again, credit to Lucas Warnick here. Just how dark and ominous that, the scene with her, and you got to make a sentinel back there. And I'm guessing that's Moira, maybe in the background. I'm not sure.
It
I'm
looks
gonna
like
say,
Moira. It
that's what
does.
I,
I
yeah, I'm
agree
gonna
with
say.
you.
I think it is, yeah, it is Moira back there. Um, but just how really hell bent now she is on just saying, okay, that's it. I've had it with these mutants. Um, this is it for them. Anyone that remains is going to be um, done. They're going to be pretty much killed. It's giving
Liquidated.
very well. It's giving very uh, kind of like Nazi Germany concentration camp type of only this time they'll just kill him right on the spot, as going back in history, as that did happen. Um, but it's giving very Auschwitz type feels.
And
Uh,
she has a line where she kicks it off like she seems so vindictive. She's
it
here like
is
people of Earth, while you slept, the world changed. That's obviously what Xavier said at the beginning of the Krakoan Age. She's clearly, the way I read it was a very mocking tone that she was doing.
exactly.
She is not only going to stab, she's going to twist that knife.
Oh yeah, that's exactly what it was. It was really her mocking his words against them. Um, Saying that they were, it was a failed experiment, and they were not, pretty much just lying to them, saying that they were not for what they said. And pretty much they're going to come to their end. And then of course we get a next scene of the X-Men in the jet, um, discussing about what happened to Rasputin. You've got Rogue, Shadowcat, Colossus, Wolverine. Gambit is in there. I don't see Nightcrawler, so I don't know if he.
They left Nightcrawler behind. They're like,
Yeah,
sorry, bye.
yeah. So it was just like, where? Oh no, never mind. He is there. I'm
Is he?
sorry.
Where is he?
He's
Oh,
sitting right
oh,
behind
he's all
Colossus.
the way back behind
Yeah,
Colossus. Yeah, you're
he's
right.
he's
He is
back
there.
there. Okay.
Okay, so they remembered him.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So this is pretty much them just really just getting themselves ready for the coming war with the mutants against Orcus. Really just getting their numbers together. Kitty departs, or sorry, Kate. Uh,
No,
Kate
you got
departs.
her name wrong again. Shadowcat with a K. Shadowcat with a K.
Yeah, she departs. Meets up with Emma, goes over to I guess Araco. Yeah,
No.
pays a visit to Juggernaut. You see Ms. Marvel, Sam Wilson, Captain America, battling one of the Sentinels, and then tells Juggernaut to go be unstoppable. Really, this is just them now gathering the troops and ready to head out to war. And let's pretty much her to saying, let's go.
Let's go. Yeah, and it's worth noting that she is the only Krakoan that can use the Krakoan gates now, so that's why she's able to like sort of
Yep.
teleport really quickly from Araco to the mansion to Sam and Kamala. So it's really nice. But I got to tell you, the one scene that has me hyped is that she goes to Island M
Yep.
to recruit a Miss Lorna Dane, and what happens when she gets there to Island M?
She is not there. Costume is on the floor, and she says, "Lorna, we need you."
Not
And
only is it just her costume, but her cup of coffee
oh
too. The
yeah, oh
coffee
yeah.
is there.
And Lorna, I'm surprised that it's just the one. I figured you had maybe like two or three there.
I know.
She even left her shades behind.
Oh, Lorna.
Lorna,
But that's because Lorna is
what are
not
you
playing around
doing?
anymore. She's not going to be that girl who walks into Starbucks. She's going to be that girl now who declares war.
No, she graduated from a grande, and now she's a venti girl.
She is a venti.
So yes, so Kate goes in to recruit Lorna, and yeah, Miss Dane is not there. Which I have to say, I was wondering what happened to Lorna because my concern, and maybe and I may have missed an issue here or there with her, but my concern was is when the guy and you, I guess we can spoil it here. The revelation of who the new Captain Krakoa was the alternate Captain America from
Hydrocap.
yes, Hydrocap. And so I was wondering because right before the gala, Jean went to Lorna to comfort her, and Lorna was just laid out in her bed, upset because of what happened with Magneto. And then I feel like that was the last that we saw of her. So then when the treehouse was lit on fire, my first thought was, oh my God, Polaris, what
Yeah.
happened to her? Did she survive the massacre? Because we didn't see her at the gala, and did she burn up with the treehouse that yeah, so I
No,
will say
she apparently has been on Island M. I'm with you. I thought she was at the
I
treehouse.
thought she was too.
I thought
Yeah.
she was at the treehouse, but she's on Island M. Sure.
Well,
And Island M is
yeah.
where they held the resurrection protocols for all the mutants and Irene specifically
Yes. Yes.
that we saw in Inferno.
I have to say I do love the scene coming up here. If you want to go ahead and talk about it, be my guest.
Okay, so we flash to nowhere where Brew is there and he sees the store open and he's like, Gene, is that you? I was beginning to worry that you wouldn't come back. Oh, it is you. You're the last person I expected to come out this way. And then in walks Miss Lorna Dane with her well, it's a new green costume, but it's
Yeah.
very Magneto inspired. It's the one that we've seen on the cover for issue 2. And she's like, Gina's dead, Brew. But those of us who live, we resist. And she's like, are you ready to go to war? And Brew is like, yes, Jean saved me, saved these brood. And then Polaris looks like she grabs all of nowhere and is going towards Earth and says, then to war. And the issue ends.
So I gotta say, for what the issue was, and if you don't mind, I'll just give my thoughts on this end part right here because clearly I think we know where this is going to go. They're going to use the Brood to help the X-Men against Orcus,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and this is what she's doing. And I mean, I love Lorna Dane, and I cannot wait to see her shine in this. And it's long overdue to see her really have a an arc as this and really and now that we have Magneto kind of out of the game. I mean, obviously, Resurrection Magneto is coming up, but this is really her time to be the Magneto of the X-Men proper, really, and for her time to shine. And I love that she's going to get this moment, and I really hope that she gets a really glorious moment too. I am though kind of sad that it's not the costume that we saw on the cover because I really thought that we were going to get
Oh,
that.
you're right.
But
Because the one on the cover is a little bit more like the House of X Magneto.
yeah,
This is a little bit more. I don't want to say like flamboyant, but a little bit more theatrical and harking back to even some of her OG looks.
right.
You are right on that. You are 100% right.
But I will say I think she looks amazing.
Oh, look, Miss Lorna Dane. I mean, I have become such a big Polaris fan in the last few years, in
Oh
large
yeah,
part because Emma Dumont is incredible and is literally the epitome of the character. But also, I think in the Krakoan Age, her showing up with her coffee, her shades, not giving zero fucks. I love it. And I agree with you. I think they are setting her up to bring the Brood to help the X-Men. They're also setting her up as the Magneto of the story, equipped with her own asteroid.
Yeah.
In lieu of Asteroid M, it's nowhere. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with Lorna being the master of nowhere and bringing that to Earth. And I wonder if nowhere is now going to be orbiting Earth, and if that's going to be a future plot point. This last scene made the issue worth it for me. The only
Oh,
reason I'm
absolutely.
like this wasn't 100% garbage is because of this scene. I love it so
Right.
much.
I mean, a story like this, I mean, it's good. It's a slow start, of course. I mean, and I expected it to be as such. I mean, because you're getting everybody together, they're getting ready to go to war here, gathering the troops. And obviously, I believe that they're gonna Cyclops will eventually get liberated because I think there was a cover that was revealed with him on there and like Magic and Emma. Look, they're
Yeah.
getting ready to go up for a fight. Although take kind of covers with a grain of salt because I mean what you see isn't always what's going to happen in the story. So I mean, but no, when it comes to Lorna here, I mean, I was just so excited to see this, and I'm like, get it, girl, get it.
It is a strong ending to what I would describe as a lackluster issue. This was a very strong ending.
Hmm.
I'm excited to see what's going to happen with Lorna. We have great positioning with I love that Shadowcat with a K called them Mr. and Mrs. X. I do stand Tony and Emma together. So I'm not unhappy with that, but I love that we're positioning these characters ready for war. It's good setup. I don't like the era, but if we're playing within this era, the best amount of tension and setup has been completed with this issue. I'm so happy with that.
I gotta say, I'm right there with you when it comes to Emma and Tony. I don't hate that coupling anymore. I didn't really think much of it before. It's slowly growing on me now. So,
I love them as like a very decadent couple that doesn't take everything too seriously
right.
and are kind of like, just throw money at the problem. And they're like, no, you can't just do that. And they're like, really? And then they superhero. I just think they work together editorially, not for everyone, and I agree it's not for everyone, but I think it's fun. Let's see where it all goes. I'm excited for what's
Yeah.
to come. I think this was a
Abs-
strong start. I was prepared for utter garbage, and I will say only 45% of me thinks it was garbage. The other has been just kind of turn off your brain and have fun. And back to basics. Back to
Yeah.
basics in some way.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, we'll see where this goes. I mean, especially with Lorna here, coming in hot. I mean, I'm excited to see what they do with the whole Brood scene because, like I said, I mean, she's coming in with them to help out the X-Men. So, um, yeah, I don't yeah, we'll see what happens. I will say this though, the scene where Emma is projecting her mind, talking to pretty much every mutant out there, telling them to get ready. And it's a little nitpick, but I wish we would have had at least a scene where we would have seen Madeline and her Dark X-Men, kind of appear and as if they're listening to the message as well, because especially with what they just went through in their Dark X-Men limited series. And how that ended. It would have been nice to kind of see them there and kind of give a little hint that they're going to be part of the overall story. If not, a main focus, but at least we know they're going to be there engaging in the fight against Orcus. So I was a little disappointed that we didn't get to see her because especially with Madeline having such a resurgence lately in the comics and her, getting this redemption arc, which I'm so glad that she's getting now. Um, it just would have been great to kind of have that little like her
Well,
and Alex or
I agree.
yeah.
Why would you go to Kamala and not Madeline, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking. This is the Queen Ambassador, whatever her official moniker is, of Limbo. You're going to
But
want Limbo on your side.
exactly my point. I mean, she runs the Limbo embassy right literally in New York City. So,
Yeah.
if anything, I mean, clearly the X-Men don't know that Lorna's coming with the Brood. So, you think you want to go to her and have Madeline assemble her troops in Limbo and prepare to go against the Orcus. I mean, at least and not to sound, shitty here, but at least, Demons of Limbo can be like, cannon fodder,
Yeah, no, I agree with you. But again, this
Yeah.
comes back to the point that the X-Men are not written as particularly good strategists. The X-Men are really dumb when it comes to defending themselves or even like mobilizing for war. I do think Dugan, and I've said this since Marauders, writes a really fun Emma. I don't think like I think Hickman and Morrison really captured what Emma Frost should be, but I think Dugan can capture a fun version of that. And her line here, "Hello, darlings. If you can hear my beautiful voice in your head, then
So
welcome to the
humble.
resistance." You know what I mean? Like that's like laugh out loud funny. It's truly laugh out loud funny.
But it's classic Emma. I mean, she's a
Yeah.
hero, but yet she's so sure of herself at the same time.
Yeah. But but again, that is why I love Emma and Tony together. They're so over the top, ridiculous. Again, I understand that's not for everyone, but in my own irrational love, I do ship them together quite a bit. I want to ask you, who do you think the MVP of the issue is?
Oh, for me, it's honestly,
Say it.
I
Say it. I know you want to say it because I want to say it too.
I'm gonna give it to Lorna.
Yes, 100%. Our girl Lorna, she dumped her Starbucks to go get ready for war.
Yeah, exactly.
If that isn't MVP status, I don't know what isn't. She is literally she actually is a better strategist than Shadowcat with a K, than Colossus and than Nightcrawler, than Wolverine, than Rogue. Like literally Lorna's like, fuck this. The world's going to hell. Let me bring in this nowhere, the severed head of a celestial.
Yes, exactly. I was just gonna say, I love how she didn't tell anyone a damn thing. She just went on her own, is coming in hot with these broods, and yeah, I loved it. She's just like, I ain't telling nobody shit.
She's like, no, I'm not gonna talk to you. She's like, you assholes. Like, no, I'm ready for this. She's like, I saw what happened at the Hellfire Gala. I read it in page 6 the next day. I know you guys aren't ready for any of this crap.
Exactly,
Um,
exactly.
I agree. I think Lorna really shines. I hope she's a focal point for the remaining issues. I'm so excited. I really it's talking about it with you has made me more excited. I think when I first read it, I didn't have the best reaction, but as I've discussed it with you, I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed
Oh
it quite
yeah.
a bit.
I mean, yeah, it's definitely it's always stories like this. They're always going to kind of get a bit of a slow start, and um, but I think gradually it'll pick up. But it's like we said before. I'm just getting just tired of the constant, mutant extermination type of event stories. I wish they just kind of not have they. I guess overall, I wish they wouldn't have to deal with this as much as they have in the past. It's just getting to be a bit of a tired trope now. Can we just kind of go back to a time where it's just let them deal with, of course, a threat level, of course, but not where it's going to nearly kill their entire race of people. I mean, Jesus.
Fall of X is basically X-Men disassembled
Yeah.
with a new coat. That's all. That's all it
Yeah.
is. And this is IVX. This is AVX. This is zero. This is everything that we've already seen before. But it's fine. Give us Lorna with Nowhere. I I'm optimistic for a reboot. I have said this before. I think leaving Krakoa is a really bad move. But if you're going to leave Krakoa, I'm open hearted to doing a reboot and seeing what you guys are going to bring for the X-Men. Because one of the things that I don't think I've stressed enough on this podcast is with Deadpool 3 coming out, with X-Men 97 coming out, Marvel wants to make money. They want the X-Men IP to thrive. So
Yeah.
if they're doing a reboot, no matter how much we're going to complain that they're leaving Krakoa, they're doing it with the best intentions to really make the X-Men IP strong. So I don't think it's strong right now. So if you're going to take a shot at redoing it, let's see it. Let's see what you got. And that's sort of where I'm going to rust my feelings with that. But this issue has me excited for the end. This is like
Yeah.
when Buffy is about to go into the Hellmouth. All the
Oh
potential
yeah.
slayers are behind her. We don't know
Yeah.
what's going to go on. And then Willow casts her spell and we get this epic finale. I'm hoping that is what we're going to get for the series.
Oh no, that's a very good description. It is very,
Oh.
Buffy battling against the first.
Yeah.
God, in fact, I was actually just kind of rewatching
Stop
you
it,
know,
really?
yeah, I was actually rewatching all the Faith episodes.
I love.
So,
Oh my god! Do you know my favorite episode of all Buffyverse is Orpheus, and it's the Angel episode
Yes.
where Willow comes in to rescue Faith, and Faith and Angel have that dream journey. I
Yeah.
love it so much, and it's Willow versus Cordelia. I love Faith episodes so
Oh,
much.
I mean, look, Faith is my favorite Buffy character, so I stand by her always. I think for me, probably one of the best character arcs, especially along with Cordelia and Spike. So
Oh my gosh, yes, 100%. Okay, well, we're gonna take this offline and invite Slayerfest 98 into a group chat so we can talk about all Buffy and Faith stuff. But all right, anything else? Anything else you want to add?
no, like you said, I'm just excited to see where this is going to go. So only time will tell.
Yeah, let's see where it goes. But I think Familia at home, this is an issue worth picking up. Pick it up, read it, send your DMs to us on social media. I'm at Power of X-Men.
And you can find me on Instagram at mdbrower81. And you can find me on my Talking Vibe podcast on Instagram as well. So
I love your podcast so much.
Oh, thank you.
I love it so much. And I love that like everything we have been through in the Krakoan Age, we are now here talking about it as it comes to an end. It is Ascani-san, what is life right now?
you know what? It's just an ending.
All right, Familia, stay tuned for more coverage for Fall of the House of X and Rise of the Powers of 10, and we'll see you next time.
Cheerio.